Greetings from the ghost town of Doxey, Oklahoma. Behind me is the railroad track, so essentially this would have been the center of Doxey, if you will. It's the whole area around, really. There's a Doxey cemetery not too far from here. Route 66 is a little bit down the road. I'll take you there in a second, but it's really quiet here. You know, the loudest thing right now is the engine of my car, which is quiet anyways. But you just let the rustling of the leaves and the trees and the tall grass. That's basically the only sound. And I imagine perhaps once in a while the train. I haven't seen a train all day, actually. And here's a better look at the road as it crosses the railroad tracks. This is probably the center of Doxey. You see it shown right on the railroad tracks on this 1924 map. This 1931 postal map shows the post office in Doxey is being closed. Postalhistory.com shows it being active from 1902 to 1931. More reason to think that this would have been the center of town with the railroad and the post office there. This map shows the station as being on the northwest corner of that road and the railroad tracks. It was dated 1969. It seems a bit late, though. This is a 1955 aerial. I don't really see or can't tell if there's a station there still. This 1960 map shows Doxey being at that same location, at the road and the railroad tracks. However, this 1948 map from Shell shows Doxey being at the intersection of those two roads, the former 66 and this North 1910. 66 was rerouted to the north only like 2 or 3 years later. The post office continued for about 2 years after that. But closer to the newer 66, on the northern side of Doxey, was the Doxey School. I haven't found too much information about the school, but I did find this note in a 1922 journal, which I find interesting that it says Doxey School, Sayre, Oklahoma. So even though there was a post office for Doxey at the time, it's still listed as being connected to Sayre. I found this photo of students and the teacher at Doxey School. The poster thought it was from the 1920s. Maybe that's Mrs. Maggie Bennett. We're looking south from the north end of Doxey. This is the second alignment of Route 66. And the Doxey School would have been somewhere around these buildings here. This is looking north up that same 1910 road. You can see it in this 1955 aerial. The northwest corner there, you see Route 66. And then in this 1983 aerial, it's gone, and that's where these two buildings are today. All right, let's head back to the center of Doxey, where Road 1910 crosses the railroad tracks. But I'll take you down to Route 66 so you can see this ghost town in context of 66. So this is not 66 here. This is a north-south road that takes you to, I guess, what was the original center of Doxey at some point. But up ahead is the original Route 66. So the 1926 version, unpaved 66. So that's this intersection coming up right here. So for travelers going along 66, essentially this would have been the main intersection for Doxey, and thus the one shown on this map here. Of course, for railroad travelers, we'd be back there. So this is looking back east, and this is looking west.